behalf of the Buddhist Council of Greater St. Louis, thank you for joining us for Mindfulness Day today. The Buddhist Council of Greater St. Louis is comprised of over 20 area temples and sitting groups representing just about every Buddhist tradition. The complete listing of these groups can be found on our website, buddhistcouncilstl.org. We also have a Facebook page that is updated with our event schedules. After more than 2 years of COVID-induced loss, uncertainty, hesitancy, stress, anguish, concern, and impatience, we are meeting again in person to discuss the topic of returning to the practice. It's hard to wrap our minds around the fact that millions are gone due to this virus, but we're grateful to healthcare workers and first responders who have devoted hours of their work, sweat, and tears to test, vaccinate, heal, care for, reassure, and even prepare us for the worst. We're thankful to researchers who have studied, tested, written, reported, and discussed the mRNA vaccines and other treatments to help prevent or lessen the effects of COVID. We look to our officials for funding, planning, information, and leadership and cohesion building. We sympathize with the children who suffered due to time away from teachers, instructors, friends, peers, and activities. And we come to terms with the fact that just as the Buddha taught, everything is subject to change, and permanence is our teacher. Life is short and fragile as a bone. Naturally, we're still dealing with the trauma of the pandemic, and one of the most pressing issues continues to be food insecurity. Today, we're raising funds for the St. Louis Area Food Bank. Food banks are structured to provide the most meals to the most people for the dollars they receive. All of the Buddhist Council events held during the time of COVID, have raised funds for the food bank, and we appreciate very much all who have donated to help feed our community. Again, we appreciate you all joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from our speakers who will rejuvenate our practice and provide a refresher for some skills that might need brushing up. Our first speaker today is Bloebaum, a member of this fine temple, the Thai Buddhist temple, and I will turn it over to Gus.
Thank you. Dr. Consec said I could take this off. Yes, you can hear me better. Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. 26 years ago, almost to the day, I first walked into the Thai Buddhist temple. 26, doesn't seem that long, but it went by nicely. Two of the people who I attribute my continued stay here at the temple and enjoying the meditations that are going on now from 6 to 8 here at the temple, the 7 to 9 meetings. Two of the people who continue to inspire me is Dr. Consec and Dr. McComb. Dr. McComb has, and always will be my first meditation teacher. And Dr. Consec has always been a Buddha friend who we laugh together and have had good times. And with their support, that makes it pretty special for me. So today I celebrate them as well as us being back in the temple. Because for me it is a joy just to sit here again, to be with people in a temple, doing what I love the most. One of the sayings that I keep going back to is this, and it comes more out of the Tao tradition, but it says, who can make the muddy water clear? Let it be still, and it will gradually become clean. Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? Now that's strictly Buddhism. That's part of the Eight Effort Noble Path. COVID-19 initiated itself here in America around December 31st of 2019. I was made aware that COVID was going to hit us back around October of 2019 because my brother is a professor at the University of Utah. He's a research scientist. And he warned me as we were walking up the mountains that something was about to hit us. He said, I don't have too much concern about it. He said, just make sure you wash your hands. I doubt, he said, we'll have to wear masks. But after all of that, we've discovered so many different things. And that's what impermanence does. It teaches us. It helps us to learn different things. And on January 30th, the World Health Organization cited that COVID was now a global outbreak. The question that often comes to mind, not often, but the question of why are we here today? What brings us to the temple? What brings us to the temple is a working together in a call and response situation. We call out to something and we seek a response. We call out our blessings, our hopes, our dreams, our fears, our uncertainties. And we hope that in a response, that it will work out according to our hopes. Now, if any of you are like me, I have what's called a quid pro quo with my Buddhist nature, and that is, I will do good if you cut me some slack and do it my way back. That is my quid pro quo. I want to do this good thing, but here's what I want in return. What I want is it to work out the way I want it to work out, which in my delusion I know it's not going to work out that way. It's going to work out the way it's going to work out. But I just can't get my ego out of the way of saying, I want it my way because I'm too hard-headed. But yet I do call out, and that sense of calling out, that sense of being centered, that sense of meditation, that sense of stillness allows me to wait for whatever is to occur with a sense of faith and at the same time a sense of uncertainty. But what I've discovered in the waiting is that oftentimes it works out a lot better than my quid pro quo. It works out most oftentimes to the better, or at least I can take a step back and go, now I understand. The problem with individual meditation is that when you're sitting alone, as we have been during COVID, it's just us, just me and my ego. Now that's already a problem because that's what meditation addresses directly. It is me and my ego and my fast-speaking mind, which is always constantly lying to me and telling me different stories or taking me back in my history where I've offended, hurt, or taken advantage of someone, or they've taken advantage of me, and going through all that stuff. Now, it's bad enough to be with yourself, but when you've got to be with that self in isolation, it makes it much more difficult. So, welcome back to the temple, where you can sit with your brothers and sisters and allow that mind to go about its own business. But know that sitting around you are your fellow seekers that are also struggling, but you're feeling a better sense of support calmness and peace because they are walking that path with you, even though you're in your own mind. You're in your own body. And that to me is the beauty of coming back to the temple today. You know, I wrote this thing, but I kept telling myself I'm not going to go off, but I keep going on. But anyway, being back at the temple, we have so much to be grateful for now. And in her opening speech, which was beautiful, it gave me a lot of what we can be grateful for as we go back to the temple. Each one of us that somehow, in some way, was touched by this virus. I have a friend, her name is Linda Robinson Turner. She worked at the Ford plant up the street on Lindbergh Boulevard. And before the shot came, the RNA shot, she spent 3 weeks on a ventilator before she passed away because she did not have the opportunity to get the shots. Now, what's amazing to me, as we sat back in real time in our houses watching TV, wondering what was going to happen, we seen that the scientists were almost in a miracle way, were coming up with a vaccine that we could take that could prevent a lot of suffering. But in real time, we also watched that there was a movement against the very vaccine that could cure us. That there was this conflict going on between getting the shots that were over 90% accurate versus people saying it didn't exist, some kind of denial thing, that it wasn't going to be that bad. And all that. There was this constant bickering and back and forth. Over 500,000 to 1 million deaths later, that conflict still exists today. It's a conflict between, do we believe in science or do we believe in nature? What do we believe in? But in that conflict, millions of people died, passed away. Now, the ones that we counted, I think 600,000, I remember, were the ones that they could really say this was COVID-related. But there were so many more that died of heart attacks, respiratory disease, that they did not count, that this virus affected. There are still people, even who had the vaccine, that still have problems with taste, smell, trying to get their memories back, trying to get their neurological facilities back, that still are affected by this. And being brought together today is an opportunity for those that have suffered, to get back together with a group and grieve for the group. It's an opportunity to wish, as I've been taught, for the enlightenment of every human being, no matter which side you fell on in COVID. I offer this for the enlightenment of all human beings. And I offer it with my fellow followers who are with me today, that took the journey to be with us today, as we, as a group, and it's a wonderful group, that are trying to do the Buddhist community, to give opportunities for talks like this, to offer meditations, to offer possibilities as a group, to reconnect again. That's what today represents to me, is to reconnect again. It is a great joy after talking to the Buddhist Council on a monthly basis, to be back with members of the Buddhist Council again, presently, and knowing that you survived and you've been with this journey on me, even if it's been on Zoom. But it feels, the sense of being here today is different. It's an aliveness, it's an energy. This temple here, this little piece of land here, well, I've been here over the 26 years. Over here at one point in time sat the relics of the Buddha himself and some of his followers. And you could sit here and you could walk around and see those relics. And you know that it just wasn't, some people say it never existed, Buddha never existed. You could almost touch and feel the presence as you walked around the relics. Laying here on the floor one day, there was a monk, his name was Mahaved, and there was a special Thai meditation master by the name of Lumpo Khamkien. Now, Lumpo Khamkien was one of the great Thai Buddhist masters in rhythmic dynamic meditation. And he had studied with the great master who had started the process of rhythmic dynamic meditation. And he spent a weekend here with us doing meditation. And he was world renowned. And just to get the sense, he was laying down, resting after a trip. And my way brought me in, and I said, do not wake this man up. I'm not even worthy to be in the same room as this gentleman. And he got him up, and he started teaching me rhythmic meditation. This was one of the top meditation masters of the world who was there sitting with me, teaching me rhythmic meditation. So in our temples, we're seeing these meditation masters who have spent years and years and years sitting by themselves, watching their minds, purifying their behaviors, and teaching us. And by being back with them, we can enjoy that energy that they bring to us. We can enjoy that wisdom, that insight, that sense of direction over and over and over again as a group, because we know sitting around us are the same people, the same seekers that are seeking something, but in a different way. But even in a different way, it's still all the same. So I have been so fortunate to have experienced that here at this temple. And there have been many times where I've sat out there on a Saturday night or so, and I've sat down and said, I do not deserve this. I do not know why I was called to this moment by these wonderful experiences. About 5 years ago, I get a call from my brother, the same one that told me about COVID. And he said, I have scored you 5 tickets to go see the Dalai Lama, who's going to be speaking at the University of Utah. He said, I'll fly you down, I'll pay for it. I just want you to be there because I know it means so much to you. So I flew down, and I was fortunate enough to hear the Dalai Lama speak for 2 hours at the University of Utah. And the reason I bring these things up is because the more you seek, the more you wait for right stuff to occur, it can and does occur. And I think as you do it more with the group, you've got more to talk about, you've got more experiences. And people just do not have a good understanding of Buddhism, but there's so much interest in mindfulness. The one time I gave a talk on mindfulness in and diary writing. And I brought down, I think it was like 5 or 6 different journals that you could pick up at Barnes Noble, and you could journal your meditations using any one of those 5 or 10 concepts out of any one of those journals. Mindfulness is becoming a big thing. Buddhism, people are asking, what is this about? What's going on? We want to know. Because somehow, inside of all of us, there's a need to belong. There's a need to be with a group where we feel like, I belong here. This is my home. Now, sometimes, if you're fortunate, you get it with a family. But it's still my belief that the spiritual thirst even can come, it can happen inside the family, with the family, or if it's not with the family, you continue to seek that, something to quench that thirst inside of us on a spiritual basis. Something that helps us to belong. And you can do it as an individual, but the group experience adds to the thirst, like now I belong in a group. It's not only myself, but it's the group that quenches the thirst. It's the leader who's done the practice, who can walk the walk and talk the talk, who's up there giving me something special. And as I look at especially in the Thai tradition that goes back thousands of years, all this has been passed on. And it's given to me for free. I can sit here and I can listen to something that has occurred over and over and over to help quench the thirst of millions and millions of people. Now, Americans now have studied, and they too are quenching the thirst of those that come to see them, no matter what form, whether it be Zen, whether it be rhythmic dynamic, humanistic, like out of Bridgeton, any of those. That sense of belonging and that sense of, I'm here, I've arrived, that thirst is filled. I know this is the place I'm supposed to be. I really can't explain it, I just know it. And knowing that fellow seekers are going through that gives me a better sense of support when I go to seek that again. Sitting at home doing daily meditation, which I did during COVID, felt good, but it still left me with a sense of, I need to be back in a temple with my friends again. Covered that. Remember that Buddha, from age 35 to age 80, taught. And back in the library, there's a whole set of books on the Buddha's teaching. Also remember that the Buddha, upon his enlightenment, realized that people might not understand his enlightenment. Yet together he formed a group to continue working as he made his decision to trust that people could, by the Sangha, people could get enlightened, people could understand what he was working for in his goodness, his morality, and his sense of helpfulness. Here are some of the things that we've kind of gone over that we need to heal as a group now because of COVID. And we do this together now. We're not alone in our own bravery and our own search. We can go to one another now and we can seek it together. But that sense of isolation can bring us, we can bring us out of isolation. By being together, we are less depressed. The more you are isolated, the more you're possibly going to be depressed. We know that the suicide rates went up during COVID. We know depression went up. We know anxiety went up. We know loss of jobs went up. We know fear of losing your house, fear of not having food. We go back to Walmart, Costco, whatever now, and we look, and we can see, and I know this sounds strange, we can actually see that there's toilet paper back there, when at one point in time it was totally empty. We can see that there's water back there. One time it was totally empty. And we're doing that even as a group, but we can heal that fear, that conflict. And I found this statistic just bothers me. Over 9,081 reports of Asian violence had occurred during COVID. On May 2021, Joe Biden signed a bipartisan bill calling it the COVID-19 Hate Act, signed to address this very problem. Why? Why did we even have to sign a bill that creates something where we all should have been safe to begin with? That anger, that misunderstanding, those untruths, those lies, all that was brought out about the Asian community. We continue to need to be together as a group to support one another and to help heal and show the confidence that we are strong as a group as we get together during the temple get-togethers. 63% of that 9,000 were on women. 31% were in public places. I am taken aback and I am astounded by that, because I wish I could sit here to say that that was resolved, but I do not believe it is resolved. I believe that sometimes these things just go underground. And when we were on the phone in our group, we actually talked about that from time to time, about bringing the groups back together, not only because of COVID, but the possibility of violence. So today, you being here is a decision that you would trust that this would be a safe place to be today, and that the violence would not occur. Now, you may not have done that consciously, but what I'm saying is that that's another sign of healing. And that's a sign of your own courage and your own belief in your fellow man. That being in the temple today, with all the anger and the hate and all that's going on outside, brings us back together as a group and saying, we're still going to do this. We're still going to trust one another. We're still going to believe in the beliefs. We're still going to believe in compassion. We're still going to believe in caring for one another despite what's going on out there. And we will be the example. But the strength that we bring in, we will bring it together, especially when we get back to the temples. Because we will feel our support with one another. With this, I can guarantee you that at the council meetings, this was discussed and it was a concern. And that by being here today, we are all in agreement that some of that is overcome and we can feel safer. We need to grieve for people we've lost. We need to grieve for the people who still are fighting this disease. We're still wearing masks. We still know it's out there, and it's something new for America. We need to continue learning. We need to continue taking action. We need to, I know this is a strange point, but I'm going to make it anyway. you might want to consider spending less time on social media and TV sets because it's constantly reinforcing the conflicts and the anger and the hatred and all that isolation has attributed to. And spend more time with your family, your friends, and your goodness. Because what's happening is that, especially on social media, people are becoming addicted to it, and all they're doing is they're building up their more and more and their anger. I had a friend who used to say that people can warm themselves with their anger. So if you catch yourself getting a little bit more depressed and bummed out about what you're seeing, spend less time doing it and go out and be with people. Hit the temple. The Thai Buddhist temple, this wonderful monk that's come in from Thailand, 6 to 8 every Saturday night. The Confluence Zen Center, you can go online and they actually have a Zoom that you can watch and follow, and it will give you the dates and times in which their practice occurs. Maba has a Sunday meeting schedule. They have their website. They include a teaching group, and it's a beautiful, if you've ever been out to Augusta, it's just a beautiful, beautiful center that kind of sits in a valley. And they have these 2 beautiful buildings over here. But over in the back, up the hill, is one of my favorite places, and it's a special mini temple to Kuan Yin. And that you can go and you can sit there in meditation with Kuan Yin, or they have their own special place that you can do your sitting in the temple itself. And then there's also a place where if someone has been cremated that they can go and they can be placed there. It's a comprehensive center. Sit in this beautiful, beautiful valley with everything that you could want. It's just beautiful. My definition for a good spiritual program is simple. The definition says, whoever responds to my request, whatever makes me feel part of, that to me is a spiritual road to take. Take away everything else for me. I try to break it down to those 2 things. Do I feel a part of it? Does it help me to feel at part of the group? But the other thing is, when I go to seek help, do the answers arrive? When I go to seek help, do I get more suffering? Or do I get answers? And those answers come in their own way. And the more it happens, the more I believe that what I am doing is where I'm supposed to be. The Heartland Zen Center, Will Holcomb, has Saturday Dharma talks. You can go online and you can see. You guys have an online? Yeah, online. The other thing is you can go to these websites, because each of the individual temples have websites that give you the direction, what to do, how to do. Because when a person first comes to the temple, the first question they ask is, not what's Buddhism is, what do I wear? Because they just don't, they don't know. I don't want to be inappropriate. Or how do I do this? When do I do this? Also, you need to be a little bit more. I think the first time I came over here, I just walked in and said, what am I supposed to do? Try to call or seek more information than walking into a temple and say, here I am, what am I supposed to do? Be a little bit more polished than that. There's also the Missouri Zen Center, Rozan. They have information, first visit, you can go on and it will help you to decide, again, what to do, how to be there. There's a temple at Bridgeton. They have a once-a-month Sunday service. It's humanistic Buddhism with a venerable, and they do that on English and in English. And again, you can go on their website and you can get the information about when their times are and what their practices are. And that's to give you some ideas on if you're thinking about learning or you want some practices. These are places you can go, and you will be made to feel at home. You're made to feel welcome. You will be treated with dignity, concern, and kindness. All the people who I've mentioned all walk the walk. It's just not talking. It's like we're here to help the human condition. We're here to help you be at peace. Now, next question people ask is, do I have to give up my religion? Because there's always a difficult time with transition between, especially in a Christian community, where they're trying to move to an understanding of Buddhism, and a kind of a guilt and uncertainty, especially when you're going across cultures, across religions. You don't know. You want to reassure them that, yeah, go to the website, or yes, dress appropriately. In the Thai tradition, you need to take your shoes off before you enter, but that's all that's going to be required. Just sit and listen. And sometimes just saying sit and listen gives them permission to get over that. The other thing in Buddhism is it says, especially in Dalai Lama's speech, he said, I don't want you to cross religions. I want you to just be a better who you are. And through meditation and compassion and kindness, the rest will take care of itself. So, I think I'm on track. Okay. Let me close by saying this. First of all, it's great to be back at the temple. Thank you for being here today with me. This is very pleasant, and it's wonderful to be with you. I hope I've shared something with you today, and that after the 2 meditations that you're going to go through by these 2 wonderful doctors, you will take something where you can take it out to the world and share it with them in your own special way. So, I'll end it by always saying, this is for the enlightenment of all human beings, but especially for you to join us today. And above all, if you suffered through traffic, you are very special people. Have a good day. Thank you.